Assalamu alaikum. This is my refutation to Mrs. Meral Eskener, the leader of the Good Party. Now, you said that our relationship with Egypt had gone victim to the politics. I say, but it went because of tyranny and dictatorship, my respected lady. It went because of the conspiracy of Egypt with Emirates for what caused the perish of Turkey and the coup. It went because of the declaration of Ibn Zayed waging war against those who demand for the truth and for freedom. There are women who are mourning for the loss of their children and for the imprisonment of their children, other children, in the jails of Sisi, which became full. There are other women who are crying in the jails of Bashar al-Assad because his soldiers kept until today raping tens of thousands of women, giving some of them gifts to the Russian soldiers and to the Iranians, hosting them some objects for entertainment after their efforts in fighting and killing women and children in Syria. Let me ask you this question. Is being supportive to the oppressed and the wronged one and speaking the word of truth is a matter of personalization to you? How did you choose to name your party Al-Khair, the good, while you're defending relationship with the regimes of evil? So Al-Khair and the evil should not be comparable, should not be equal. Don't you know, my respected lady, that the servant will be given a hit by a whip in his grave, and he'll be asking, what is this for? It will be said to him, this is for the prayer you've been performing without wudu. Then he'll be given another hit, and he'll be saying, so what about this now? It will be said, you passed by a wronged person and you did not support him. So, if we know that there are regimes, that they are dictators, they are evil, at least shouldn't we be standing in truth, saying the word of truth? And the covenant was taken by the Prophet to his companions that you speak the truth, caring not about any blamer to blame you. Speaking the truth, even if it's bitter. This is the bay'ah, the pledge that the Prophet was taken from them, this as a condition with the bay'ah they give him. Come on, how Al-Khair sympathize with tyranny, istikbar, tajabbur, sorbalik. The good should not cooperate with tyranny, istibdad. The stance of Erdoghan is not a matter of personalization, but it's condemnation for the tyrant policy of Sisi. And the attitude of Erdogan goes in agreement with the stand of Europe in denouncing the tyranny and the dictatorship of Sisi. It did not disagree with them. So Erdogan is not the only one that criticized the policy of Sisi, but all Europe went against him. Except Trump, the shade, the umbrella of every tyrant leader. He is the umbrella, and now he's gone, hoping he had gone and he will never get back. Do you want Erdogan to be supportive to Sisi, the dictator, by the confession of Trump, who said, where is my favorite dictator, about Sisi? Why Al-Khair party shed tears on that dictator, whom Trump himself admitted that he is dictator. Now guess what? Sisi did not say, I'm not He kept quiet. So do you want Erdogan to say to Sisi, my favorite dictator friend? Do you deny that he is dictator? So criticizing the dictatorship and tyranny of Sisi, is it a matter of personalization? We have the right to regret Morsi, despite his mistakes. Sometimes he had horrible mistakes, I agree. But he was a merciful person. He was fair and just. Some non-Muslims said, I wish he is alive. I want to kiss him between his eyes. And Israel was in a great concern and paranoid because of his inclination to Islam, because his refusal to make any agreement or reconciliation with the Syrian evil regime. Now the Jews, at the era of Sisi, they are living in peace. They feel peace after the great concern they had at the time of Morsi. Do you deny that they had something to do with bringing him, supporting him? Would you deny that? Your defense to Sisi is in itself dictatorship and polishing this militant regime who conducted the coup against Morsi, and he supported Emirates in conducting another coup against Turkey. If Erdogan agreed with Sisi and he shut his mouth about his tyranny and his dictatorship, you'll be saying, where's democracy, Erdogan? Did you forget that our regime is based on democracy? So how do you make agreements, intensify your bonds with this dictator? And if he took a stand against Sisi, because killing thousands, Rabia, place, etc., his conspiracy with Greece against Turkey, his conspiracy against your own public, against the Turkish people, now you criticize Erdogan. You do not ignore the fact. You cannot ignore the fact that Sisi used to be taking Trump as his umbrella to do to his people whatever he wants to do. And now when Trump is not there anymore, people like Sisi are extremely terrified. They're frightened. They don't know what's their fate at the time of Biden now. You cannot ignore that Europe criticized Sisi and stood against him. Do you want Erdogan to be the protector of tyranny and dictatorship? You know what? If Erdogan was dictator, you won't be having the guts to stand and criticize Erdogan. If you were in a place like the Egyptian parliament, whom we describe their members that they are panels, pieces of wood, just how Allah said in the Quran, you won't be able to speak except what is pleasant to Sisi. Words of satisfaction to Sisi. This is Italy criticized Sisi for killing 5 persons. You know why? To tell Italy that those are thieves, and we caught them and we killed them because they are responsible for the death of Regini, the Italian student in Egypt. But Italy did not buy it. They did not believe it. And it released and exposed his deception. Erdogan responded to his conscience and spoke the word of truth against Sisi. And Erdogan should not be blamed for this. This life is a life of struggle between the truth and the falsehood. Between al-khair, the good, and al-shar, the evil. You're not supposed to be blaming a person who stood up for the word of truth and did not care about the consequences. If you're not happy with this, don't call your party the party of al-khair. Don't make any stand that support ash-shar, the evil. You know the difference between al-khair and ash-shar. It is obvious that the whole Europe are outraged against Erdogan because he doesn't want to submit. He doesn't want to comply to their policies. He don't want to be Muslim to them, submissive to them, because Islam is submission to Allah alone. He doesn't want to be submissive to them, to be subjugated to them, such as what we find with the Arab leaders. The pressures exerted against Erdogan are not only external pressures, but internal pressures, and you are one of them. It is true that speaking the word of truth had caused Erdogan to have many losses, the falling of the currency, other economical pressures. But he pleased God. God will not be blaming him. But if he has to put these pressures in calculation, he has also to have some fears and concerns about your own pressures. So because your pressures and other pressures, he had to make some concessions and to comply and to improve his position against those countries, because he's surrounded. So don't let yourself be the surrounding elements as well. And he did it to lighten the burden on his own people. They're suffering. And if he is true on these stands that he's taken against the West, in which will it be pleasing Allah? Allah will let the public of Erdogan be patient, and they will love him. And they do. They love him. Despite my condemnations against many things with Erdogan, I do not praise a leader 100%. No. But if he stand a standing of good, we have to speak it. We have to praise him for this. How happy Greece will be when they see those internal pressures that you exert against Erdogan. You will not be knowing the value of Erdogan until he die. Then you'll be saying, after the next one will come, oh, we wish that Erdogan remains alive. Lastly, I say, applause doesn't mean that you are right. No. But those words you made are already written and registered in a book that writes every single word and every single act you do. And that book will be presented, explored for you. And you'll be reading what had been written about you, about every word you said, about every action you did at the day of resurrection. There, you will be standing before Al-Wahid Al-Qahhar, the one, the subduer. At that day, you won't be finding someone to applaud you. No. But your deeds will be explored by Allah and His Messenger and the believers, as Allah said, وَسَيَرَى اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَسَتُرَدُّونَ إِلَى عَالِمِ الْغَيْبِ وَالشَّهَادَةِ فَيُنَبِّئُكُم بِمَا كُنتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. And Allah will see your deeds and His Messenger, as well as the believers. And then you will return to the world of the unseen and witness, and He will inform you of what you were doing. So when you speak something today, you should remember that you're accountable for what you say today, and you'll be asked about at the day of resurrection. Thank you.